You need to think seriously about here in Italy and the field under this branch committee's oversight. Matthew chapter 10. We're going to read 32 through 38. Now keep your Bibles open here and turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 5. We'll come back here. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, and we're going to read verse 11. Did you carefully notice, the Bible does not say, don't keep company with anyone unless it's one of your close relatives. It does not say, well, this is my daughter, this is my son that was disfellowshipped. It doesn't say, well, you don't understand, this is my mother that was disfellowshipped, my father was disfellowshipped. The Bible says anyone. Now go back to Matthew chapter 10, please. See, we just read these verses. We've experienced it, my wife and I, with family that's disfellowship. Governing body members have experienced it. We understand it's a sword. We also accepted our torture stake. We want to be worthy of Jesus.
How you doing, guys? We all know as Jehovah's Witnesses that it is about the numbers. It always has been about the numbers. Let's face it. When you were out in service, it was all about how many doors you knocked on. How many people did you talk to? How many magazines did you place? How many Bible studies do you have? And every week or periodically, there's the midweek meeting, you'd hear the increase in publishers. You'd hear the increase in baptized witnesses. Every year they would get more and more and more. The increase in congregations worldwide, especially around the memorial season. Every year, people who attended the memorial would increase more and more and more. As a matter of fact, the only thing that wasn't increasing along those lines was the ones who partook at the memorial, the anointed. They were getting less and less and less. Well, that was following the script. They were supposed to get less and less. I was still in when that was changing. Yeah, the people who attended the memorial were getting more and more. But all of a sudden, the people that partaking were also increasing. They started this thing that, well, they just don't understand. They're mentally ill. There's something wrong with them. They misunderstood what we were talking about. And I know full well that elders take it upon themselves to not count certain people, because I've had several admit that to me. And I'd always be like, well, is that up to you to decide that? Never got an answer. Nonetheless, the partakers kept increasing more and more every year. And more of the people that go, even though it's now explained at the memorial, they still partake. Well, that's up to them. They can if they choose to. So Watchtower has nobody to blame but themselves for this. So why is that? Some years ago, we all remember David Splain when he came out, and we all saw this at the meeting. This was the first time, because I wasn't too familiar with JW broadcasting at the time, when he tried to explain the overlapping generation. They shot themselves in the foot. Thing is, they get the idea, first of all, this could not be explained. But when they tell you it's an overlapping generation, well, so what are you saying? There's more anointed? Because this was the idea people were getting in their head. They tried to slow it down, but nobody could really explain what Splain was explaining to begin with. The next time they shot themselves in the foot, let's face it, how many governing body members, this is long before I was in, I believe there were 12 governing body members at one point in time. Now, as the years passed and they die off, they were getting less and less and less. which is the way it should have gone. Since there were less and less anointed on the planet, it makes sense that there would be less and less governing body members. All of a sudden, in 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there, Watchtower appointed Kenneth Cook as a governing body member. Now we had 8 again, which made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Did they really need them? In actuality, instead of adding one, they probably should have taken one away. There should have been less and less and less. So now, this is feeding the overlapping generation again. Well, I figured that was going to be it for a while. But we all know what happened last month. We went from 8 governing body members to 10. Which brings me to Anthony Morris III. We all want to know what happened. We can only speculate what happened. But we've all been disfellowshipped, and it's all been announced. So-and-so is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, when somebody's publicly reproved, they say brother or sister so-and-so has been publicly reproved, acknowledging that they're still one of Jehovah's Witnesses. When they're disfellowshipped, they're not recognized. So they leave out the brother or the sister and just mention the name. And Anthony Morris's announcement as no longer being a member of the governing body was pretty much the same way. Now, a lot of people think it may be because of poor health, and it very well could be, or for some other reasons. But however, I just want to make one thing clear. If there was no ill will, or if he was stepping down for health reasons, or for whatever, I think they would have allowed him to announce it himself in one of his talks on the broadcast. They didn't do that. It was quickly announced. Wasn't said why. Now, we all know when somebody's disfellowshipped or kicked out, they don't say much. They make a quick reference to it, it's over and done with. People just sit there and speculate and stop wondering. The same thing was done to Morris. So no, I don't think it was for health reasons. Very well could have been for his drinking problem. We all know he has one. We all remember Bottlegate. Or some of his weenie roast talks. God knows what else he's into. Now, Watchtower is wanted distance from Jehovah's Witnesses. Basically because of the child abuse cases. They want away. So it could be possible they also want distance from their governing body. For anyone who thinks that they're appointed by God, no. The governing body are voted in by the shareholders. That's how they get appointed. But when they're appointed, they can also be removed. You piss the wrong people off, or you ruffle some feathers. They can move you out. Now, it looks to me like this particular governing body might be in for a change. They've already installed 2 new ones. Anthony Morris is out, and it's quite possible that they're going to move a few others out as well. Let's face it, Stephen Letts given the organization a few black eyes as well, not to mention Mr. Potato Head Jeffrey Jackson. And Samuel Hurst is just a jackass. And like I said, we really don't know what Anthony Morris did. And chances are it's going to be leaked out of Bethel what actually happened. So I'm just wondering if he is out, if he is no longer a governing body member, is he still one of Jehovah's Witnesses? Because this hasn't only happened once before, and I believe in 1980 with Franz. Could this be the same thing? Was he kicked out? Or did he leave on his own? That's something I'm really wondering. Those are kind of my thoughts. I know I hadn't been out here for a while, but when I heard this yesterday, I had to jump on it. I just didn't want to leave that alone. So I'm sure there'll be a few more videos on it as well. But I would love to hear your thoughts as well on this, guys. You guys have a good night. I will talk to you soon.